First of all, I would like to express also my thanks for being here today, Nectaria and her colleagues, for having invited me. I just come back from Dubai. There was a big gathering there with more than 500 businessmen. They focus on instability in the area of economy, which is also reflecting the reality you described before. But let me share with you some of my own experiences that have reached some conclusions. As you maybe know, I've been at all levels of governance, from local governments, from regional governments, European Union, Minister of Foreign Affairs, and all these things. So I can somehow explain to myself why we have reached this level, this situation of instability and uncertainty around the world. We all know how Europe started. Europe started with the vision of some people, leaders who had experienced the end of the Second World War. They had also experienced the First World War, and they said, okay, let's stop now and provide the world with more security, stability, and welfare. And they managed to do it. The first generation did it. The second generation was following up on the paths of the previous generation. The third generation had a fantastic life, and the fourth generation has forgotten what has happened. So here, let's go to mythology. Mythology is more sincere than history sometimes. I always recall the myth of Sisyphus, someone condemned by gods to carry a heavy rock on his shoulders, to bring it up to the top of a hill. When he was arriving there, then the rock was rolling down again. Why do I say all these things? We live something that was totally out of our imagination before. This new situation is not as easy as it has been described by some analysts, but very complicated, because now we have new stakeholders playing a role on global issues. You see what is happening with the United States, China, and of course, Russia. In the theater of Europe, it is exactly as you described before, but nobody listened to what Kissinger and Kennan had said in the year 2014, when Europe and the Western world had started flirting with the idea, encouraging the Ukrainians to open the doors towards the European Union. It was very clear what he had said at that time. And then we leave the events in Ukraine, and you see where we are now. But also in Middle East. In this situation, unfortunately, I don't know whether the minister agrees with me, now this crisis, at least for the next 2 generations, in my eyes, does not have any hope to be resolved as a problem. Because what is divided by blood, it is in the sentimental memories of the citizens of today. And the Abraham agreements, unfortunately, they failed because of Hamas attack. I think that was behind this plan. So we live in a very precarious and difficult time. Who is going to serve this situation? The global leadership, I don't know. In Europe, let me also share my experience with Europe. Europe is a big stakeholder in terms of economy. But geopolitically, European Union is very weak. First of all, Europeans did not manage to complete the European project. Where is the political union? Do we have foreign policy, common foreign policy? Do we have common defense policy? Nothing, only rhetorics. I was responsible for migration and security in Europe. And I'm also the chief negotiator on behalf of the European Union in our contacts with the United States on counterterrorism. Believe me, I had the most difficult moments in my life to convince 28 at that time, 27 led member states, to agree among them. It was something difficult because every country in Europe is following its own national interest foreign policy. Rhetorically, we say nice words, but behind those doors, every country has its own foreign policy. Some countries in Europe, they have good relations also with Russia, for obvious reasons. The same in Middle East and elsewhere. So the global landscape defined by, let's say, the European policy cannot reach to a solution. United Nations. What is United Nations? It's not United Nations as we had lived it after the Second World War, a very weak institution. It has been weakened because even within the United Nations, there is international approach of everything. Let's come to a conclusion. Is there a hope for the future of the world? I believe that things will change now. The unpredictability of Mr. Trump's mindset might lead to a sort of regional arrangements on many issues. Because let's go deeper in the way Trump is thinking. He has done everything. And now he has full control of everything, not only within the United States, including the institutions of the system, but also globally. What does he have in his mind? How to leave behind a positive legacy of his presence. Since he has full control, he might move forward by resolving issues, but this will not be easy. Let's come to Ukraine now. Do you believe that this war will be won by the Westerners? Personally, I don't think so. Half of Ukraine right now is in the hands of Putin or not. He will never go back unless we have a peripheral war, and at that time there is a most dangerous point, because if they put in practice the deterrent strategic plans, then they push buttons. Are we there now? The same is also in Middle East, with Iran playing its own role. Ladies and gentlemen, we live difficult moments. I don't want to be very optimistic, although in my life I am. But what is happening in the world, unfortunately, leads us to a lot of skepticism. Do we have leadership at global level? Do we have leadership at regional level? Do we have leadership in national level? President of Cyprus yesterday, some minutes ago, he described the situation in the region, but also global. He was absolutely right. So we have to be more pragmatic, get out of the dreams, and stick on what citizens want from for the leadership. Peace, stability, and to go back to the old good days of Europe and the rest of the world. It will not be easy. And why do I say that? Because sometimes, in order to present the situation, we put ourselves or our countries at the center of global developments. Everything today is local and global, as it was said before. So what is happening in Ukraine has a direct impact on what is happening in Asia, and vice versa. In terms of economy, I'm afraid we also enter a very precarious zone. And the business community, they are scared of what the messages are coming from the future. So from an economical point of view, from a political, geostrategic, and geopolitical point of view, one thing is sure, that our generation has to leave something behind. Do our leaders are thinking like this? Are they going to be the same responsible as the leadership in the wake of the Second World War? Nobody knows. We move and navigate in uncharted waters. Let's hope the international public opinion, pushed by a bottom-up policy, what do the citizens want, will realize it's their moment to create a better, more inclusive, and more peaceful world. Regarding migration, I can tell you that also there, Ms. Wolters here will tell you more in some minutes, Europe is divided. Europe is divided from the very beginning. That's why we experience also in Europe something very dangerous, the rise and the return of populists and nationalists. If they manage to grab power, then we lead Europe back to its past, to its dark pages of its history. Territorial claims, xenophobia, nationalism. And don't forget that even 2 world wars started from all these people inspired by nationalist ideas. Let's hope that it will be avoided. Thank you very much for your attention.